Hi, my name is Drian, and this is my channel where I talk about my experiences and thoughts as a polyamorous person. This video, I wanted to talk about polyamory as a label, and I wanted to kind of break this up into a couple parts. So the first thing I wanted to touch on is the idea of labels being bad. I run into that a lot. I think it's important to give people the option to self-identify. And I think that labels are important because they provide a shorthand. So they give you a little bit of information so that you can kind of tuck away important or pertinent facts about something, be that a person or a situation or anything. I think we run into trouble, especially when we stop using labels as descriptions of something about that person or place or thing and start using them as prescriptions. So saying, oh, you're gay, you must, have these things, and then forcing people to be something that they're not. I think that that's kind of where we stumble, but as long as we keep using them as descriptive, we should be good to go. The next thing I wanted to talk about was kind of the three categories of people who identify as polyamorous that I've kind of run into. So the first is not really a personal identification at all. It's people who use polyamory and monogamy to simply describe the types of relationships that they're in right now. So that the people who do that are the people who argue that if you don't have more than one person, you're not polyamorous. So if they're single, they have 0 relationships, then that's it. They're single. If they have 1 relationship, then that means they're monogamous or they're in a monogamous relationship. And if they have more than one, then they're non-monogamous and potentially polyamorous. So just acknowledging that polyamory is not the only way that you can have more than one partner. So the kind of second group of people are people who polyamory is a preference for and it's part of their identity, or it's at least a trait that they have, but doesn't impact them on a really deep level. It's just one more descriptor of who they are. So my partner Rommel is polyamorous. He prefers polyamory. He says even if we ever were to not be a thing anymore, he wouldn't go back to monogamous relationships. But it's not a part of his identity that you need to know about him, and it's like a vital aspect or something that he considers important to who he is as a person. Just like my preference for arugula over iceberg lettuce is not something it's not an important part of my identity, although you now know that. The last group is where I fall, and that is people who polyamory is a personal identification that does have a lot of meaning and a big impact. I would consider myself polyamorous even if I had 0 relationships, because I am a polyamorous person. So I could be a polyamorous person in a monogamous relationship or in no relationships. That doesn't change the fact that I'm polyamorous. And I like to kind of link this to other identifications or identities that I have. So I'm also cisgendered, and I'm heteroflexible. Very strong leanings towards heterosexuality. I prefer male partners primarily, but I'm open to people of other genders, and they just have a strong preference for male type people in a romantic and sexual nature. So just like those two identities don't make me a better person, and this is kind of my next point, my next group of points. So just because I'm cisgendered and I'm female and I'm heterosexual and I'm polyamorous, it's important for me to have the freedom and the knowledge and follow those aspects of myself, be true to them, and live in a way that really respects those aspects and those identities, and I want other people to respect those identities in me. It still doesn't make me a better person. I'm not better than someone who's male or someone who's transgendered or gender fluid or not cisgendered or someone who's not polyamorous, who's, monogamous or a swinger or some other form of non-monogamy. if that works best for you, something other than polyamory, that's great, and you should ethically pursue whatever relationship formation works best for you. And that's kind of all I have to say about that. Polyamory is better for me, and I certainly saw a vast improvement in my life when I acknowledged that, but it doesn't make me a better, more evolved person. It just makes me a polyamorous one. And then the last thing I want to say in this video about polyamory and identity is that all of my other kind of gender, sexual, relationship identities are mainstream. They're boring and they're acceptable, and I never had to fight to be acknowledged, accepted, or any of that until I realized I was polyamorous and that was a thing that I couldn't deny. So polyamory forced me to take myself off of autopilot, forced me to really think hard and examine how I wanted to do relationships. It made me read a lot and think a lot and talk a lot to other people. And then it made me set boundaries, which I'm still working on. I'm not good at setting boundaries, so this is like much needed impetus to actually set boundaries and tell people, this is who I am. You're not going to be able to change it, and you need to respect that, because if you don't respect this aspect of me, you're not respecting me as a person, and that is a problem. So those were kind of the points that I wanted to make. Hopefully this makes sense and is helpful or interesting, and I will talk to you guys all next time. Bye.